Happy Sunday, Bengals fans. Welcome into Bengals Breakdown. Once again, I am your host, Stone Shields. Hope you guys are enjoying this bye week. Of course, with the Bengals on bye. No watch party here today, but we do have a video for you guys here this afternoon. Really hope you guys are enjoying the football here on Sunday. A day with no pain since the Cincinnati Bengals, of course, are not playing. But coming up on today's show, we're going to be giving out some report cards, giving out some grades here for the Cincinnati Bengals through this first chunk of the season leading up to this bye. Obviously, the Bengals have really pretty significantly underachieved what the expectations were coming into this season. So I think you can expect a lot of low grades for some of these people we're going to be talking about. Players, coaches, going to discuss the front office as well. And in addition, we're going to be talking about the two highlights of this team so far this year, of course, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. That's what's coming up here on today's show. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys we are doing our November like battle with our Ravens channel. And we've actually been able to get a slight lead here. So we made a lot of progress on our watch party last week. So that was really awesome to see. But trying to beat them here. If we take care of them in November, that would be 3 out of the last 4 months. It's certainly something we are trying to accomplish here at Bengals Breakdown. So help us out. Hit that thumbs up icon if you haven't done so already. Something you should do for all of our videos here at Bengals Breakdown. By the way, I am doing some solo producing, so if you see me look down or whatever the case may be, just trying to do multiple things at once as we progress through today's show. All right, let's start with your guys' favorite, Zac Taylor. I'm going to give him a C- at this point in the season. I kind of flirted between C- or D+, ultimately went with the C-. Look, I think the reason why it is not in the D to the F range is because of the success that Cincinnati is having on the offensive side of the ball, which, of course, is Zac Taylor's side of the ball. I do believe he deserves some credit for that. Now, they make things really, really hard on Joe Burrow. I think they need to do a better job post-bye, making things a little bit easier on him. But regardless, the offense is putting up a lot of points. They're getting a lot of yards, moving the ball up and down the field. So I think Zac Taylor deserves some credit for that. But where you're at in your season right now, 4-17, look, this is the team that the expectation coming into the season was to be able to go out there and compete for a Super Bowl. And ultimately that has not happened to this point in the season with the Bengals sitting there at a 4-7 record. A lot of that does fall on the head coach. And their record in one-score games is really, really bad as well. And I think that also is an indication of coaching. I think, look, it's not all necessarily Zac Taylor's fault, but if you're a head coach and your team continues to lose one-score games, I think you deserve a good amount of blame for that. So I'm giving Zac Taylor a C-. I know a lot of you out there probably think that's a little bit too nice, but, this season is not over yet, and I do think Zac Taylor has done some good things offensively, and he hasn't lost the locker room, by the way, which is really significant. He still has this team together and fighting, and they are trying to make a push for the playoffs, even though it is a borderline miracle if that were to happen for this football team. Leads to the pinned comment of today's video. Grade Zac Taylor so far this year. Let me know in the comment section. Sound off for us. Be honest with us. You with me? You think it's like a C- range, or is it an F? Because I certainly don't think it is an A or a B. But if that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comment section and let us know what you think. Next up, quarterback one here, Joe Burrow. Look, I'm giving Joe Burrow an A. The Bengals had a couple of more wins. I think he would be the front runner for the MVP. He's playing at an absolute elite level this season, and he really is the reason this team has 4 wins. I think without Joe Burrow, this might be a winless team or a team with only 1 win. He's playing the position at an elite level, racking up the yards, racking up the touchdowns, keeping the turnovers low, and really doing everything he can to help this football team win. He's taking some serious punishment, but he just sits there and he hangs in, and he absolutely delivers for this football team. The reason it is not an A+ for me is, look, the record. I think the quarterback, there's a big argument in this industry on whether or not wins are like a quarterback stat, right? I don't think it's necessarily a quarterback stat, but if you're touching the ball every single play, and Joe Burrow is, and your record's 4-7, I get it. It's a team game, and there's only so much Joe Burrow can do, but I'm knocking him slightly for the record being what it is, kind of holding him back from that A+ range. Also, his play in the fourth quarter, which we've talked about a lot here on the show, is typically his money quarter throughout his career. Hasn't exactly worked out that way this year for Joe Burrow. So he's having a phenomenal season. don't want to knock him at all, but I'm going to be a little bit of a stickler here and not give up an A-plus grade. Going to do the same for his buddy Ja'Marr Chase, who also is having a phenomenal season for the Cincinnati Bengals. Chase right now is on pace to win the Triple Crown, which would be really, really cool if he was able to pull that off. Obviously, the hope going into the season, you're contending for a Super Bowl, making the playoffs, winning playoff games, whatever. I understand that. But if the Cincinnati season ends the way it kind of looks like it is right now, which is not a postseason berth, if Ja'Marr Chase is able to win that Triple Crown, that certainly would be pretty exciting. Chase lighting up the stat sheet so far this season. You really can put him in so many different spots. You can, work some bubble screen stuff to him, and he obviously can take the top off the defense. Intermediate stuff's phenomenal as well. Great hands, really physical wide receiver, everything you want in a wide receiver, and hopefully he gets that contract he is seeking this offseason, and he'll be locked up in the long term for the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, only reason I'm not giving an A-plus is I do think there are places where you could kind of knock Ja'Marr Chase, particularly the beginning of the season. That Week 1 game against New England, he did not have his head screwed on straight, and I think that impacted his performance in that loss against New England. Obviously, it's just one of the 7, but that is a critical, critical loss considering that New England really is not a good football team. We knew that, and they still were able to find a way to beat Cincinnati. I didn't love Ja'Marr Chase's attitude. Remember the personal foul penalty he had against Kansas City that borderline lost in the game as well. So he would be an A-plus guy for me had it not been for those first 2 weeks. But because of that, I am going to dock him slightly. Continue with our report card here in a moment. But first, I want to give a shout-out to our friends over at PrizePicks because they are the sponsor of today's show here at Bengals Breakdown. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. You now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. This is our PrizePicks slate. This game will be getting underway shortly there between the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. Going with the more than for Christian McCaffrey rushing yards, going with the less than on Christian Watson receiving yards. I personally did not make this PrizePicks slate, but some people here at Chat Sports threw that together. They've got some confidence in that being a good call as far as the PrizePicks slate goes. This is not a flex play, it's a power play, but PrizePicks did invent the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first 5. Again, download the app today, use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's PrizePicks. Run your game. Next guy is defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. I'm going to give Lou a D- grade here to this point of the season. Why? Well, the defense has been an absolute disaster, right? Really no good way to put it. Defense has sucked, and it is the reason why you are 4-7, really, if you had to pick one thing. And, of course, if he's calling the shots, calling the plays, a lot of blame falls with Lou Anarumo. Taking a look at some of these stats, obviously this is not winning football on the defensive side of things. Reason I didn't give him an F is a little bit of a kind of a recency bias thing. That second half against Los Angeles, that was crazy. It was a miracle is what it was. It was a complete turnaround to what we have seen so far this season for the Cincinnati Bengals. It really was unbelievable that they were able to pull that off. So I'm giving him some credit for that, but got to give Lou Anarumo a D- in this situation. Defense certainly has not played up to the standard, and if the Bengals don't get a couple wins here coming down the stretch, Anarumo his time might be up, unfortunately, in Cincinnati as the defensive coordinator. But the reason I'm not giving him an F is because I am giving an F to the front office. Lou Anarumo doesn't exactly have the best personnel to work with on the defensive side of the ball. And the front office is certainly a major issue with that. This is our first F, obviously, that we have gotten to here on today's show. I think if I'm picking, one unit to blame, I am picking the front office personally to be that, place that gets that blame because what they did in the offseason, they have whiffed on their free agents. They didn't pay guys that they could have that are having really good seasons, i.e. Jesse Bates III for the Atlanta Falcons. And in the draft, their 2023 draft doesn't appear that it was that great, whiffing on the first round in Myles Murphy. In 2024, you haven't really had somebody really step up and be a key, piece on their defense. I think there's some hope with Chris Jenkins Jr. He's played good in spots, but ultimately they are just too thin on the defensive side of the ball. Really only have one really, really good player in Trey Hendrickson. So the front office, to me, absolutely getting an F for the personnel that they have put on the field and just the decisions that they've made. You can even factor in kind of the issues and how they treated Jamar Chase and T. Higgins this offseason as well. Another opportunity for you guys to get involved with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. Who do you think, if you had to pick one of these groupings, who do you think deserves the most blame? Type P for the players, C for the coaches, or FO for the front office. This is an FO for me, but I want to know what you guys think. Get down in the comment section and let us know what you think. Next person we got here, next player on this list is Evan McPherson. Love Money Mac, but he's just Mac right now. And look, he absolutely deserves a lot of criticism for the way things have gone this year. If he plays up to his standard, this Bengals record is totally different, even with the struggles that they have had defensively. Anytime you got a field goal longer than 40 yards, it feels like you're holding your breath with Evan McPherson. Taking a look at those 50-plus numbers, 3 of 7, just absolutely not going to cut it. The leg is not an issue. This guy can hit it from 65-plus, probably. So it's not about getting it there. It's just the accuracy in which he gets it there. Evan McPherson has really struggled this season. He's cost this team some games. I'm rooting for him. I'm pulling for him. I'm hoping he can turn this around. The Bengals, of course, paid him. So they're going to, give him probably more faith than most kickers, right? Because he's under a big contract. But, look, Evan McPherson's got to be a lot better here post-bye. Right now, at this point in the season, he is absolutely an F, a fail, and a big reason why Cincinnati has the record in which they do. I want to pick on some other people here on the defensive side of the ball. Taylor-Britt. I think the Bengals really expected him to be kind of a lockdown corner for him this year, and it really has not morphed into that. I think they were looking at him as a guy that could, really match up with the best receiver on the other team and take them out of the game, and he just hasn't been that guy for you. Had the miraculous pick against Kansas City off Patrick Mahomes in week 2, and it's really been downhill ever since. We saw him get benched against Carolina. We saw him get benched once again on Sunday night against the Chargers. He's going to have to step up, especially with the injuries to those Michigan guys there, Dax Hill, who you lost earlier in the season, and now DJ Turner, who you lost on Sunday night. They have to go back to Cam Taylor-Britt, and he's got to find ways to get better at his job. The talent is there, but the discipline, maybe the preparation, for whatever reason, he's not making the right decisions out there on the football field, and it really, really is costing this Bengals defense. And lastly, the safeties. Got Geno Stone's picture up on the screen, but it's him and Von Bell, the both of them. I think a lot of people, myself included, Bengals really addressed the safety position here in the offseason because what the safety play in 2023 was bad, and they went out there and they addressed it, but they whiffed in addressing it. Von Bell, I was excited to have Von Bell back. As far as I'm concerned, Von Bell is a Bengals legend and always will be, but he appears to be, in that stage of his career where he is just not the player he once was. And Geno Stone, who you got in free agency from the Ravens, appears to be a whiff. I understand he's banged up, but that's just kind of the way it is at this point in the season in the NFL. He lets people behind him, and he's not very fast, and he doesn't tackle very well. And as a safety, you got to be able to do those things if you want to be successful there. So really a big-time whiff by the Bengals front office, but those safeties are not playing up to the standard. Absolutely giving those guys an F, even after they really addressed that room this offseason. It just didn't work out, and it appears as though that's something that will need to be addressed once again after the 2024 season wraps up. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. That concludes our bye week report card video here. Bengals, of course, on bye. Hit that sub button so you don't miss any of our videos. We'll have videos for you all throughout the week as well. And we will be live for our Bengals watch party on Sunday after our week off here on the bye week. But help us out. Help yourself out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV.